And for more on the ongoing crisis, we turn to Phil Wilcox, president of the Foundation for Middle East Peace. He had a distinguished career as a U.S. diplomat. He also served as ambassador at large and coordinator for counterterrorism. Thank you so much for joining us, Ambassador.
Thank you.
It seems each side is far apart from a ceasefire. There have been talks and talks and talks. What happens next? What is the next step in bringing all these sides together?
I think both sides continue to believe that they can win, and there's no victory in this kind of conflict. The ceasefire indeed is complicated at the moment because neither side really wants to stop firing and hopes that they're going to gain some further advantage. What is needed is a much more aggressive mediation effort by the international community, because it's likely that without that, the parties will continue to do great harm to each other, and the bloodletting will continue. So the ceasefire has to be done in a more assertive way, and that hasn't been done yet.
But it appears the PLO wants a ceasefire. There were talks earlier about Mahmoud Abbas going to the table. There's supposed to be a meeting in Cairo in just a little while with Abbas and Hamas and all these parties coming together to maybe hammer something out. What's the problem there? Are the Palestinians split amongst themselves, and can they bring it together? They are deeply divided
between themselves. First, there is a split between the Fatah in the West Bank and the Hamas in Gaza, and then there's a deep split within Gaza between the ultra-militant Salafists and the more pragmatic Hamas politicians, and that makes it more complicated. But if Hamas is destroyed, as some Israelis propose, Israel will be confronted with a much more dangerous and violent adversary.
How so?
Because the radical wing of Palestinian politics are Islamic extremists, fundamentalists who do not believe in compromise and believe that they're performing God's work by fighting to the end. The Hamas people are more moderate, more pragmatic, unlike some of the extreme Islamic elements in the Middle East.
And a lot of people are not characterizing Hamas as that way. But how do you bring that side together so that they can go to the table and maybe work something out with Israel?
Well, I think it can be done, but it won't be permanent unless it addresses the underlying problem. Now, both Israel and Palestine have equities here. The Palestinians, since 2007, and even beforehand, have been living under a very tight closure regime, which has impoverished them, destroyed their economy, and prevented them from traveling, leaving Gaza. The Israelis, for good reason, are afraid of missile strikes. So there's going to have to be some effort toward reducing the military threat to Israel and easing up on this onerous closure for the Palestinians. That's going to be very, very tough. But the problem at the moment is to stop the killing and the bloodletting and the massive destruction. There's no time to negotiate these other things now, and that's why Kerry says, let's have a ceasefire unconditionally. He's right.
Two-part question for you. One, do you think anything will come out of this meeting in Cairo? And just want to get your thoughts on how you feel Kerry has done in trying to mediate all these parties.
I think Kerry's done admirably. Kerry has spent most of his past year on behalf of peace between Israel and Palestine, and he's devoted massive energy and perseverance. He failed. He failed primarily because the Netanyahu government does not want a two-state peace and wants to continue its occupation and settlement policies. It's remarkable, it's ironic that the senior Israeli officials are insulting John Kerry as somehow betraying Israel. And I think that's astonishing.
Yes or no out of this meeting from Cairo?
It's a step toward a yes, because Mahmoud Abbas is engaged, and he can speak, I hope, for both sides of Palestine, and he is a man of probity and a man of peace. So that's a step forward, but I fear that the violence is going to go on for some more days.
All right, Ambassador Wilcox, we appreciate your time. Thank you again for joining us here.
Thank you.